All right, so we're back at it. We're grinding now. We're actually coming up to the 14-mile marker. We're on North High Street, heading north. Um, yep, 14-mile marker's right there, and you're getting into the part that makes Columbus challenging. So we're going up north on High Street. We're going through the Short North District. There's going to be some people out there. It's not dead just yet. We haven't gotten to that point, but it's definitely less supported than the first half. Some really great scenery. Not a lot of shade, so it is a little later in the day now. Shouldn't be too bad yet, but you might feel that sun. The sun will be out and beaten down, and there's no shade. So if you are sensitive to that, just know that it's there. Um, yeah, if it's a really hot day, I haven't made my mind up. Usually I like to wear the arm sleeves and the shin sleeves. I might have to pass on that this race if it's going to be as hot as it's supposed to be. I'm also going to wear shades, which we'll get to why in a little bit. But that's where we're at. So you're going to get up to 5th Street. You're going to take a left. I believe there's a little bit of an elevation change here. Let's see as we turn down 5th. Not much of one. We're descending a little bit. But actually, it's not too much of one. I always thought maybe it's just mental. I always felt like it was a little downhill, um, but perhaps not. Strava doesn't seem to think so. So we take a right. Mile 15 is up this way. I think we hit it a little later on this. Let's see. Right about there. So we're going on Neal, and we're going to head into campus. This section on Neal, there's not a ton of people. Just letting you know. You're at mile 15. I find this to be the part where my legs start to feel the race a little bit. We're going to take a right on 12th and go through campus. As someone who's about to finish his 3rd degree from Ohio State, I always love running through campus. I've done a lot of workouts through here, so it's fun to go through the old stomping grounds. Up here on College Road somewhere, I believe, is the next water stop. It's actually as we turn onto College. So right here in front of the Union, make sure you get your water. If you missed the gel last time, make sure you take your gel this time. You're going to go around the oval, and when you turn left onto, looks like they've changed the street name to a very long John Glenn Avenue, maybe? Is that what it says on here? Yeah, we've always just called it 17th, so maybe they've renamed it. I don't know. But this is a big downhill. So know it's there. Don't burn out your quads. Keep a nice, steady pace. Keep your feet underneath you. We're going to talk about this again later because there's another big downhill section. But you want to use it. You don't want to fight the hill. You don't want to be braking. But if you stride out too much and lengthen your stride too much, your feet are going to hit in front of your center of gravity. And if your feet hit in front, you are going to naturally brake whether you want to or not. So keep your feet underneath you. So what I tell my runners is we're using the hill, but we're making our feet go a little quicker to make sure they snap underneath us. So we're not super striding it out. Gravity naturally is going to make your stride stretch out a little bit as you're going downhill. It's on you to keep your feet underneath you so you're not braking every step. Oops, I zoomed way out. Here, let me get back. Get a nice little view of campus here. Sorry. You can see we're coming up on the stadium, and I am having trouble with my mouse. All right. Getting back into it. So again, it's a big downhill. Don't destroy your quads. Use it, but be smart. I feel like I'm a little too zoomed in now. Oh well, we're going with it. You're going to go past the RPAC. Yeah, this is too zoomed in. It's going to take us forever. All right, zoom out just a bit. All right, there we go. You do a little turn past the stadium. You run around it. It's lots of fun. And you're going to come out here on Cannon Drive, and you're going to run around the stadium. There's usually some pictures getting taken out here, so just know that's there if you want to smile for the camera. Just checking real quick. I think the gel is coming up in just a second, so we'll get to that. You're going to turn left on Woody Hayes Drive. Make sure you hug this turn, run the tangents, don't add extra miles. You're going to take a little bit of a climb up here as we go over the Woody Hayes Bridge, which goes over the Olentangy River. And then you're going to get a nice downhill. And right here in front of Coffee Park is usually where they have your last gel station and a water station. So we're going to take a gel here. Let's see what the mile marker is. Right around 17. So that means we got one more we're going to want to take around 22, and that will be our last one. So if you're keeping track, we have taken 3 gels on the course that we are going to carry and 2 gel stations for a total of 5. I also instructed that I would take a gel before the race, so I would pack 4 gels on me on race day. Alright, so here comes the hard part. This is the part that kills 9 out of 10 people in Columbus. Alright, there is a big hill that's not, it's very deceptive, okay? It's very insidious because you don't even realize it's there and you feel like you're just dying and you don't know why. It's a very sneaky hill. So you're going to go downhill right here, and when you go under this bridge, the 315 bridge, it's go time. This is where the real hard part of the race begins. You're going to have 2 miles of climbing, and you gotta know that you're not dying. Okay, so let's see. If you look at the blue dot right here is 315, and we are crossing it. So our elevation, at the low point here is 714, and we're getting up to 836 in the matter of about 2 miles. So in about 2 miles, you're climbing over 100 feet. That is noticeable. To put that in perspective for my MIT friends, that's the frontrunner hill in terms of elevation gain. Now the frontrunner hill happens in 3/4 of a mile, so it's much steeper. This is stretched out over 2 miles, but is about the same elevation gain. So when you're coming to mile 17, 18, 19 of Columbus, you're going to feel it. And don't panic. This is why the hill's so tricky. Not only is it a kind of big, hard hill stretched over 2 miles of climbing, it comes at a time in a race where if you start to feel it, you start to panic. And so many people panic. And what I'm going to tell you not to do is don't fight the drop in pace. Your pace is probably going to drop a little bit going up this hill. And people see that and they don't realize they're climbing and they think, oh crap, I'm falling off pace. And they fight it and they work even harder up the hill. And if you work even harder up the hill, you are going to burn yourself out right before mile 20. And now you're facing the last 6 miles of Columbus and you're already dead. And it happens so much. I've seen it happen. I swear it happens to 80% of people running Columbus. The elites obviously do it fine, but everyone else, if you talk to them, it's this section of the course, this climb into Upper Arlington, where they just die. All right, there's not a ton of crowd support. It's hard, and so don't panic on this part. Just get through it. Get through it. Stay close to the pace you want. If you fall off a little bit, chill. It's okay. You're going to make it back. All right. You're going to see the hill coming up here by the ARC, the Adventure Recreation Center, up here to Beekman Park. You will notice the hill here. Okay, here you're going to see it. And what tricks people is they get up this section and they think, oh, the hill's done. The hill hasn't even started. But the next, mile and a half, mile and 3/4, you don't notice you're climbing. And I'm telling you, that's what makes it so hard. It's a tricky little hill. If we go back to the map real quick, we are about to hit mile 18. You're going to have a water stop. We'll point it out as we get to it. It's right before the corny field here. So we're running through here. There's a bit of up and down, but overall, like I said, we're climbing. A little bit of turn. Just a note for some marathon history, Columbus Marathon history. They used to always take us around these parking lots, which was awful. But thankfully they got rid of that. So we just skip this miserable part a little bit faster. Quick note, right here at this intersection at Carmack Road, obviously you're not going to run the crosswalk. That is just Map My Run snapping into place. But this part where you go on the bike path, there's a little 5-foot hill. Okay, 5 foot. Who cares, right? It is noticeable on your legs. It might be 5 feet. We'll call it 5 feet. It is really steep. It's a cross country bump. But at that point in the race, it hurts. So quick steps, hard, strong up it, get over it, and then just forget about it. Okay, get it in the past. But believe me or not, I swear to God, I've died like 2 or 3 times on this little bump, on that little bump. So just know that that bump's there. Get over it and put it behind you. But it's funny how in a 26.4 mile race, a little 5 foot section could be memorable, but that little bump has been the worst part of the race for me a lot of times. Um, so now we're on a bike path going through the outside parking lots of Ohio State. This used to be super boring. Credit to the Cbus Marathon Committee. They've set up some tents and stuff here, and they throw a little party here, and there's at least some crowd support. One of the children's champions will be right here. So just know that that's there. And somewhere around here, there is a water stop. I think it's at the end of the corn section. My mouse is acting up on me. Sorry, 1 second. But yeah, it's kind of good that we went to an overhead view here. You can see this is not the populated area that the downtown section is. All right, you're going to be grinding a little bit more um, than the half marathoners had to. You're on your own. It's not as exciting. That's why I recommend the music. I think the water's right here. Right here. So just get ready to get water. You're going to need it because it's hot. All right, at this point in the race, the sun is out. If it's as hot as it's supposed to be, you have to keep hydrated. And you're going to go down Guilford. This is the section that I train almost weekly because it's such a critical section. You're at the end of this climb. You're still climbing a little bit. This is where you have to gut it out. You have to get through it. I always say get to Jones Middle School. All right, and I'll point that out because it's important and you'll see why. So we're coming down Guilford. It's a nice little section of Upper Arlington. There is some shade, but there's not much crowd support at all. You're on your own. And this is really the mentally draining part of the race. You're at the end of the worst section. All right, as you cross Northwest, you're coming up on Jones Middle School. We do a little curve. Here's Jones Middle School, Jones Track and Field. So you'll see the track on your left. And this is the highest point on the course. Let's come over here. See, right here on the elevation map, it's the highest point, 835 feet, and it's right on that corner of Jones Middle School. So when you get there, you're not going to be feeling good. You just climbed over 100 feet, over 2 miles. You're at mile 19 of the marathon. It's not a pleasant time, but just keep in mind, you are at the top. You are at the top. You're going to go downhill now. And just use that. Just use that little glimmer of hope. The hard part is over, kind of. the objectively hard part, if all parts were created equal, is over, and you've got the last 7 miles of the marathon. As we look at the water stops, there is one right before Jones Middle School, so make sure you hit that. Again, hydrating is so huge. And we're going to turn and we are on our downhill. Coventry, just a quick note, I've been running it a lot. They've been doing a lot of construction on it. And there were some terrible potholes. It seems they've fixed quite a few of them. But just note, I've found personally the sides of the road are quite beat up, but the middle is actually pretty nice. So Coventry is one where you want to stay in the middle. It's a long enough road that you don't have to be worried about tangent too much until the end. So just stay in the middle of Coventry. I'm telling you, it's going to provide even footing, which is a big deal at this point in the race. We're going to go down Coventry. I don't think it's real steep downhill yet as we look at it, but there is a little bit of a downhill going on. All right, and we can enjoy that and use that. And we're coming up on mile 20, which we should get to. It's a nice neighborhood. There's some trees. It's beautiful if you weren't dying. And we're almost at mile 20 as we take a left onto King. And we're going to pause this part 4 right there. We're going to switch to part 5. And we're going to finish up the marathon in the next video. So